are familiar in other parts of the world as well, in the Hawaiian Islands and the Philippines, and throughout the United States. Most of America's leading airlines offer Convair service now, or soon will. And now, let's hear again from Larry Shields, this time from Convair's final assembly line.
Well, here we are at the end of the assembly line for the world-famous Convair airliners. We're privileged tonight to have as our guests representatives of 3 of the 31 airlines who have bought these aircraft for service all over the world. First, let's meet Mr. Ron George, representing KLM, the Royal Dutch Airlines.
Hello, Larry.
How are you, Ron?
Just fine. Larry, on behalf of KLM, I'd like to extend our heartiest congratulations to Convair on their 30th anniversary. You know, we operate your Convair liners throughout all the principal cities in Europe, the Middle East, as well as other places throughout the world. And really, we're just extremely fond of those airplanes.
Thank you very much, Ron. And now, suppose we meet Mr. Stan Kennedy, the president of Hawaiian Airlines. Stan, I understand that your company just recently took delivery on its first Convair airliner.
Yes, Larry. We have taken delivery of 5 and ferried them all to Honolulu in times comparable to the large 4-motored aircraft that are making those flights today. I'd also like to state that the traveling public in Hawaii like these planes, and I am looking for substantially increases in our traffic in the near future.
Happy to hear you say so, Stan. Thank you very much. And now, I'd like to have you meet Mr. Jack Hurley, the Vice President of Engineering for United Airlines.
Hello, Larry.
How are you, Jack? Say, I noticed that this airliner here that just came off the assembly line bears United markings.
Yes, as a matter of fact, that's our 34th delivery plane out of a total order of 55.
Well, it sounds to me like you think quite a great deal of this airplane.
Well, we certainly do. Our pilots like it, our maintenance people like it, and best of all, the passengers like it.
Well, Jack, as long as this very soon will be your airplane, suppose you tell us a few of the interesting features.
Well, there are a number. I think one of the most interesting features of the plane is the retractable loading steps here. These are carried right on in the plane in flight, and yet they come down almost instantly at the end of the flight, and they greatly speed up the convenience of the passengers and the handling of passengers on and off the airplane.
Well, I assume that United flies, for the most part, shorter trips.
Well, with this type airplane, yes, that's true. I'd like Miss Pat Perkins here to tell you a little bit about how the passengers like the airplane.
Fine.
I certainly will. We can really make all 44 passengers comfortable on this Convair liner.
Pardon me, did you say 44 passengers?
This is a big plane. We carry more than twice as many as we did with our former 2-engine plane. Each passenger has a roomy, comfortable chair that he can tilt back if he wants. And the cabin is completely air-conditioned and pressurized, which means that there's no sensation of altitude even if we're at 8,000 feet.
Well, Pat, you're selling me on this plane, so Jack, why don't you tell me a little more about it?
Well, a lot of interesting features on the plane. I'd like to point out the landing gear. We make very frequent stops, and the landing gear has to be specially rugged to stand the frequent landings and takeoffs. But that's a Convair feature which is built in for United Airlines. And another thing that the retractable landing gear does, of course, is that when they're pulled up in the wings, they improve the performance and the speed of the airplane.
Well, while we're talking about speed, Jack, let's tell the folks about that. Where do we get the speed and how much?
Well, of course, a great deal of the speed comes from these large Pratt & Whitney engines here. Each one of these engines is 2,400 horsepower. We have 4,800 horsepower on this airplane, and they pull the plane along at a maximum cruising speed around 300 miles an hour.
Well, thank you very, very much, Jack, and the rest of you gentlemen, and also Pat, for this insight into the commercial phase of American air power.
As Convair's president has said, 10% of the company's activities are devoted to commercial transport. And this ratio is typical of all of America's aircraft industry today. Under ideal circumstances, in a less fretful world atmosphere, Convair and other manufacturers would devote a major part of their efforts to passenger and cargo-carrying planes. But this is not yet a peaceful world. Our military leaders warn that the communist threat against the United States is steadily increasing. Men who know best say we must build ever-improving weapon systems for air defense and retaliation against any attack by air or submarine. And that is why 90% of America's aircraft effort is for the armed forces, and why we are developing super-swift interceptors to guard our air frontier against sneak atomic attack. For General Smith, as Vice Commander of the Air Defense Command, what can you tell us tonight of America's air defense efforts?
The Air Force has been charged with the air defense of the United States by the Joint Chiefs of Staff and Secretary of Defense. To carry out that task, the Air Force has organized the Air Defense Command with headquarters at Colorado Springs, Colorado, and 3 subordinate air defense forces. Eastern Air Defense Force at Stewart Air Force Base, Newburgh, New York, Central Air Defense Force at Kansas City, and Western Air Defense Force at Hamilton Air Force Base near San Francisco.
Now, what sort of planes and other weapons does the Air Defense Command use?
Well, since there are so many components in an air defense system, perhaps I'd better describe that. The system as a whole is first composed of a surveillance factor, the radar network that we've heard so much about, which the Air Force has been constructing for the past 2 years along our perimeters and in depth in our vital areas. The Ground Observer Corps, a volunteer civilian organization composed of patriotic Americans who are giving their time to plug the gaps between the radar and to guard against low-level penetrations which radar might not see. These are the elements which detect and track enemy aircraft. Now, for weapons, we have for area defense the Fast Interceptor, armed with the most lethal weapons we can put in them, progressing in that development as well as we are in airframe development. And for the close-in defense of our most vital targets, the Army anti-aircraft artillery, now armed with guns, soon to be armed, we hope, with surface-to-air guided missiles.
Do you have supersonic interceptors in use yet?
Not yet, no. There are no supersonic interceptors now in the inventory, but they are under development and in the later stages of development. As an example, the Air Force has ordered in production quantities the F-0870, a truly supersonic interceptor to be built by Convair.
Is your responsibility the air defense of just the continental United States, or is it on a global scale?
No, the Air Defense Command is charged with the defense of continental United States, the American heartland.
Now, here's a hypothetical question, General. Suppose hostile planes are detected, let's say, 1,000 miles away, headed towards this country. What machinery would be set into motion?
Well, upon the detection of such hostile aircraft, the whole air defense system, on a 24-hour alert it is now through, would be brought to full readiness. In addition, Army and Navy and other Air Force units with an air defense capability would be alerted and in many cases redeployed. In addition, we would have warned our civilian population through the Federal Civil Defense Administration and have taken those many passive civil defense measures which would minimize loss of life.
Well, General, do you feel that it would be possible for the Air Defense Command to destroy every enemy plane headed for these shores?
I am convinced that we should never be able, within practicable or even possible expenditure of resources, to build an air defense system which could guarantee that no enemy aircraft could penetrate to its target. Enemy massive attacks, I think, inevitably would result in some getting through. But what America must have is that air defense system which will guarantee that so much of the enemy will be destroyed that we'll be bound to get up after that Sunday punch and fight back, that we will not have lost the will of our people to fight or our industry to produce the weapons of war.
Well, that was very inspiringly expressed, General Smith. We certainly appreciate having you with us tonight on this memorable program. Thank you again, General Smith. You've given us a much better understanding of air defense and of the need for round-the-clock preparedness.
And so America prepares to defend herself against air aggression, prepares to strike back if necessary, while hoping that one day the wings she builds will soar above a free and peaceful world. Until then, air power is our principal deterrent to aggression. It's our chief means of preventing war, our only real hope to win if war is forced upon us. 50 years ago, wars were won in the trenches. The flying machine was an oddity, little more than a bicycle with wings. Much has changed since 1903, and the air power age has merged with the atomic age. Air power and atomic power. The cost of preparedness and the cost of peace have increased a millionfold in a bare half-century. But who can count the cost when survival is at stake? 1953 is an anniversary year for Convair for the powered flying machine. And these candles embrace within their glow the story of a nation, of a city, of an industry. Each candle lights a year of progress and achievements. And here is one to grow on. Wings for Peace and War has been presented as a public